Alright, this guy, number one, is, you may have already guessed it, it's working on addressing string changes while you're picking these 16th notes palm muted. I'd like you to try a slightly different approach this time around. So, what I want you to do is, you're still going to work this guy up, but instead of approaching it as going as fast as you possibly can, I want you to take it to the point where you feel like you start digging into the strings more and you start picking harder. As soon as you notice that you start picking harder, I want you to jump into the bulk of this. And, try and do the 2 repeats, or do the one time through first, and then you can do the 2 repeats and so on. But what I'm curious, if you take it to the point where you just start to pick harder and more aggressive, but you don't go past that, and then you stay at that point for a longer period of time, I'm wondering if that's going to cause your hand or arm to relax a little bit more, and maybe it'll feel like you don't have to push so hard in order to keep up the pace. So even if that means you get to 90, I'm just throwing this number out there for the sake of discussion. Just stay there and see how many repeats you can do before your arm tires out or before things start sounding like a pile of poop. And do that for number 2 as well. So, again, just to clarify here, instead of pushing yourself as fast as you can this time, take it right to where it feels like it's starting to, or where you're starting to pick extra aggressive. And then don't go any further with the speed. And then the next day, do the same thing. See if it gets any faster while being comfortable there. So, let's see. I need to move this a little bit. Okay. So, let's do the usual thing. I'm going to just jump to a faster speed and see if I notice anything in my picking that would be beneficial to share. So, I'm just going to jump right to 160 to see what happens here. You're definitely skilled enough, you know how these things sound, so I don't think I need to do any of the slower speeds, but if you want me to do slower speed demos, you just let me know, and I'll do that for you. Alright, so here we go at 160, let's see what happens, see what insights I can find to share. This sounded like it was out of tune there. Alright, here we go. Well, I guess one insight I can say is it seems like I have to move my hand or move my arm to go a little bit further or a little bit further to the ground when I get up to that D string to have a nicer sounding palm mute. I'm going to jump to 200 and see if I can get some fatigue going on there. Yeah, it's definitely kind of pushing it there for me. I'm having to hit other strings in order to get to the next note, which is fine so long as you hear only what you want to hear. But I'm going to back it off to 180 now. I have to really do a pretty aggressive downward pick slant. So this feels like it's about where it needs to be for me. As I mentioned with you, it's like 200 was too much. It was not as clean as I'd like it to be. 180 is definitely kind of in the realm of pushing it to that point of breakdown. Another thing to keep in mind, riffs like this where you're changing the strings constantly, it's very difficult to get really, really clean. So it's probably one reason why you don't see too many of them. Alright, number 2. So same thing. Get this first line up to the point where it feels like you're having to pick a little too hard, where you're starting to pick a little too hard in order to maintain the pace, and then just stay there and see how many times you can run through this guy. I'm just curious how this will affect your reverse gallop longevity. Let's see, I'll just go ahead and hit the 160 again here and see what I can find. Apparently find a mistake immediately. Definitely feel my picking muscles tighten up a bit, like every time I go to that single string. So you probably feel also a bit constricted, kind of like you have to be constricted in order to just stay on that E string. And then it's kind of like a little relief when you're strumming those chords. So I'm going to see what happens at 180 here. I'm just gonna go crazy now, 220. Just overall, just general fatigue there. So we talked about like your fingers doing the whole brushy thing. One thing that'll eliminate that, I was just thinking, like, when I'm doing those palm mutes here, you see, I'm covering the strings completely, but I'm also not getting that brushy thing. Like, my pinky stays on it the whole time. I mean, it's moving a little bit, but it's not doing the brush thing. But something that'll help with that is, like, making sure that your left hand is covering all the other strings. So like if you're playing stuff on the E string, like your index finger should be muting all the higher strings. So in other words, all 5 strings while you're playing on the A string or the E string, I mean. And then as you're getting higher up, you know, you're just still muting those strings that are underneath your index finger. So that, just double check that you're doing the muting with the left hand as well, because a lot of times that can help get rid of some excess noise. And I notice that sometimes when I do some palm muty stuff, I'll have those strings ring out too, and I gotta see like, well, what the hell am I doing wrong here? And so basically just clean that stuff up as you go. Because stuff, you know, it just sounds so much better without the excess noise. And you know, when it comes to playing metal, you know, accuracy is a very big part of the genre. You know, we want that precision. It makes things just sound so much meaner. So yeah, just if you have any questions with what to do and how to approach this stuff this time around, let me know. And then yeah, once I get your stuff on Thursday, I will get your video lesson over to you, and then it'll be ready for you when you get back into town and I'm out of town, and then we'll yeah, I guess reconvene in 2. Is it 2 weeks? No, 3 weeks. Yeah, I guess it is 3 weeks. I'm sorry, I'm tired, man. I'm about I can't think worth a squat right now. Yeah, 3 weeks, 23rd. Okay, I guess I was right. All right, so yeah, have a good trip. Hope y'all have fun, and see you in 3.